A moment ago, the weapons supervisor on the set of Alec Baldwin's movie Rust was denied a new trial. She will not be released from jail. Her attorneys were asking about a word choice in jury instructions. Earlier this month, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter in the death of cinematographer Helena Hudgens. She faces up to 18 months in prison when she's sentenced on April 15th. But her attorneys are citing a ruling by the New Mexico Supreme Court on another case issued just yesterday regarding word choices in jury instructions. So Rust jurors were asked to find that Gutierrez-Reed loaded the live bullet into Baldwin's gun and or that she failed to properly check the ammunition. Her attorneys say that and or conjunction in those instructions created confusion for jurors, and that allowed them to convict her even if they were not unanimous on either act. So here now to break this all down is Richard Schoenstein, trial attorney, legal analyst. Richard, thank you so much for your time. First of all, we have breaking news on this. This ruling just came down. So let's listen to some of what the judge just had to say.
I am denying your motion, Mr. Bowles, because I do not think that Taylor requires a new trial. In this case, I think that the issues in this case, the jury instruction in this case, are distinguishable from what happened in Taylor. The jury found Ms. Gutierrez-Reed guilty. She is incarcerated at this point. She's facing incarceration time. Keep in mind, there was a death that the jury determined was caused by her. So I am not releasing her.
All right. So Richard, we just heard those words, really just coming from the judge. But why was that and or at the heart of this?
Well, it's a conjunction junction. I feel back to my youth on this one. So the recent decision of the Supreme Court in New Mexico took into question the use of and or in jury instructions. The way it was used at the trial of Gutierrez-Reed is the jury was told they could find her guilty if they proved either that she loaded live ammunition in the gun and or failed to properly check the ammunition. And so the defense team argued that that and or is confusing. And the case out of the Supreme Court in New Mexico had reversed and ordered a new trial in a case where and or was used. But in that case, it was used to connect four different things: A and or B and or C and or D. And it was really confusing. And there were other problems with the charge. So I agree with the judge. That case is distinguishable from the jury charges in this case.
Right. And we know what the judge has just said. Richard, her lawyers were also asking that she be released from jail. They say that she's having a difficult time behind bars. But I ask, isn't that the point of incarceration? I mean, many would argue it's not necessarily supposed to be easy.
Yeah, everybody has a difficult time behind bars. Her specific argument, I think, was that she had to help take care of her ill father. But, lots of people who get incarcerated leave behind family members who need help, parents, children. And the judge noted that there is a victim in this case who lost her life and felt it wasn't appropriate to let out the defendant prior to the sentencing. By the way, that could be a harbinger of what's to come at sentencing.
Well, that's my next question for you. So the sentencing, which is scheduled for April 15th, she's facing up to 18 months in prison. Is it likely that she does receive the harshest sentence, especially in light of what we saw today?
Yeah, I think so. That comment by the judge indicated to me, and also 18 months is not particularly harsh. So if it was 18 years, I would question it. But since it's 18 months, given the judge's indication today, I would think she'll probably get that.
And I think, as we look forward, how likely is all of this to influence what happens in Alec Baldwin's trial?
Well, the things that happen today in the sentencing don't influence it directly. I mean, that's very specific to her. The conviction obviously influences the prosecution. Alec Baldwin's defense team is able to learn a lot from the way the prosecution tried the case. And I suspect in their defense, they're going to point to this armorer and say it was her responsibility. She's the one who should have made sure the gun was safe, and she didn't, and deflect guilt away from Alec Baldwin. I would think that would be part of their strategy at trial.
All right. Yeah, we will certainly see what happens. Trial attorney and legal analyst Richard Schoenstein, thank you for your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.